Well, hello and welcome to PM Express. Is 29 million people, too much for Ghana to handle? And that's the big question on the table today. Can we, with our present status and our economy, handle the growth rate? There's a general assertion that God looks after children, and so let us, reproduce and replenish the earth. So maybe we are doing God's work and needs commendation for what we are doing. But in truth, we are feeling the stress of overpopulation in many ways, like providing sanitation, providing housing, providing jobs, which is always on the lips of all the young ones. While we haven't solved all these problems, yes, we have bigger problems, we have bigger plans ahead. Bigger plans like a Ghana Beyond Aid, building the cleanest city in Africa, elimination of poverty, quality education, and here we are with floods and not even enough drainage bedeviling us. And I'm sure if you are anywhere near Ghana, you knew what happened with the rains. Floods everywhere, bad roads everywhere, and it's the same pot of money that has to go around to make sure that everybody's backed. We are putting in 700 to 800,000 people on a yearly basis. The big question is, how are we going to find this money to make sure that all these people we are adding on a yearly basis get good health care, good sanitation, good education, and probably flood-free areas to live in? It's a big issue that should be dealt with on consistently, conversation that should go on and on and on with the population. However, there's a great percentage of Ghanaians who think, look, this is not an issue. UK is the same size as Ghana and they are more than us. They cite so many countries that have the same landmass as we and have more people, and they are doing just fine. So as for the population, forget it. If anything is wrong, it's the government, it's the president, and let them fix it. Is that it? We're going to look at that and find out how it is we go forward. Don't go away. It's a big, big, big conversation. My name is Anan Sakwal IV, Chief of the Little Republic of Akwemu Edumasa. When I come back, we're looking at population, floods, sanitation, and all the matters that comes with it. Don't go. Well, thank you very much for staying. And my guest today, Dr. Letitia Adelaide Appiah, Executive Director, National Population Council. Doctor, you're welcome.
Thank you for having me, Nana.
Good. The issue of population, there's two schools of thoughts. Those who think that, look, maybe the population is growing too fast, and those who think that, look, there's more room for, plenty of people. I mean, UK is the same size as us, and they are like 50, 60 million, and they live happily ever after. So at 9 million, what's the cause for alarm? But before we start, what's our growth rate and what should it be?
Well, thank you so much, Nana. Our growth rate is 2.5. Our target in our population policy is 1.5, and the global growth rate is 1.2. And we are 2.5. So we are double the global growth rate.
But we are not enough. There's still, spaces around
Yes, I totally agree with you. There's a lot of space around. It is not the numbers, Nana, it's the structure. Because you see, if you look at the population, we have children who can do nothing for themselves. Then you have adults who take care of children. Then we have old people who depend on adults. So it is important that the children who depend on the adults don't crowd them out. Otherwise, it will be difficult for the adults to take care of the children. So it is not the numbers, it is the structure. By the structure, I'm talking about the dependent group, that is the 0 to 14, and then those who are working, 15 to 64, then above 64. 65 and above. So it is really the structure. Yes, if you look at UK, we all say UK is the same land size as Ghana. UK is about 66 million now. UK in the 1960s was about 50 million. Nigeria was 45 million then. And currently UK is 66 and Nigeria is 190 million. So it is not the numbers, but it's the rate of growth. Now let's look at even, it's raining now, so let's use the rain. Farmers want rain, but they don't want torrential rain because it sweeps off the topsoil. So how it comes? The same water, the same rain, but if it showers, it seeps into the soil. You know, so it depends on how you are growing. It depends on how fast the rain is coming. It depends on how fast you are giving birth. Because giving birth or reproducing, you need to take care of them. Of course, if it's just a matter of reproducing, then we are doing very well. But if we have to take care of them, you know, 5 African teams went for the World Cup, and so far Senegal is doing us proud. You know, they've kicked everybody out. Even Iceland, which is about 300,000 people, you know, have qualified for the World Cup.
With part-time players.
With part-time players. And then Ghana 29, we couldn't qualify. So it's not the numbers, but the skill set. That is what determines the quality of your life. You know, when the World Bank talks about the GDP per capita, they don't mind your numbers. They don't mind your numbers. They talk about the GDP per capita for one person. How much is one person earning in the country? So if we choose to grow at 2.5, Nigeria at 3, and you add on so many people, of course you cannot have a good GDP per capita. So then the quality of your life decreases. If another country decides to have a growth rate of 1.2 and adds on very slowly, and then they are able to take care of their children, their quality of life improves, their GDP per capita increases, they don't migrate to Africa. We do all that, and then because we're uncomfortable, we want to migrate. So that is it. So it is not the numbers, but the structure. It is how fast you are growing. You have a child. Can you imagine if your beautiful girl at probably a year old now looks like a 5-year-old, or your 5-year-old looks like a 1-year-old? It's not the best. A 1-year-old should look like a 1-year-old. A 5-year-old should look like a 5-year-old. And then I have been this height and weight for years because there should be stability in life. That is population. Population also needs stability. You cannot improve quality if you are not stable. So then the inlet and outlet should match. That is only when you would begin to improve the quality of life. Otherwise, you keep expanding. So now our issue is that we have to expand services, quality compromised, but then we need to expand services because people are not getting services. So that is population. It's not the numbers, but the structure and the rate of growth.
Because it rained and the floods and, you know, urbanization, are there any direct effect of, you know, population and urbanization and the floods that we are seeing and everything?
Of course, there's a direct effect. You see, if you look at our country, we have 10 regions, right? You look at the regions where the fertility rates are high. The 3 northern regions, the fertility rates are very high. You know, they migrate south. So you have fertility rates very high up north. Meanwhile, the growth rate is very low. The growth is about 1.2 because they are coming down south. You know, so it doesn't flood up north. It floods down south because population growth would always determine the development of a country till it's stabilized, whether we like it or not. Because, you see, it is very, very dicey, but that's what is happening. And that's what happens, and it's documented.
Population growth determines the development of the country?
Yes, the population growth determines what we do. You see, let me give you a typical example. Because we are growing so fast, now our focus is on education, just education, and because we are growing so fast, our programs are maternal mortality and child mortality. So it is the population that is telling us where to put our money. It is not development, but the population growth. So till we stabilize, then we will see that, look at the north, it's underdeveloped. But they are not making too much noise over there. And we are not sending a lot of development over there. Why? Because of the high fertility and because of the poverty, they are coming down south. So it's population that is driving them down south. And because we are down south, urbanization...
Isn't it poverty that's driving them?
Yes, but population growth uncontrolled makes you poor.
Okay.
The issue is, if you have this job, you have this specific income, and you are sharing amongst 2 people, and you have this specific income, you are sharing amongst 5 people, you'll be poorer. And the paradox is, you have 5 children, you need to work harder to take care of them, and you don't have the time to work harder to take care of them. So you need more money, meanwhile, you have less opportunity to even take care of them. Look at the women, 9 months you are out of employment because you are pregnant. And then after that you have to take care of the child. So you are out of employment. You know, so if you have a big family, just one person is supporting the family. So fertility rate drives poverty. Fertility rate is actually the #1 driver of poverty. We reduce fertility rate, you have more time even to work, to take care of the children. And because you have more time to work to take care of the children, their nutrition is not compromised. You know, so you spend less money on health care, because if your nutrition is good, you spend less money on health care. And if your nutrition is good, then you spend less money on health care. The children go to school and they have the IQs are high. You know, they don't drop out of school, so they pass BEC very easily. They're not sacked from school for school fees. You know, so it is what the Bible terms, seek ye first and everything else follows. You seek ye first a manageable family size that you can take care of, and everything else follows.
Probably not a fair question for you, but is there a situation where you can grow the economy quick enough to meet the growth? Is it also possible? Or I don't know.
The issue is, who is growing the economy to meet that? What we have to really understand is that just like you, just like our country, we have to produce what we eat. We have to develop our economy. So the same people who are reproducing are the same people who have to work. So there should be a balance. It's just like night and day, man and woman. Reproduction and production should balance. If reproduction takes over, then it's a problem. You see, this man, Bill Gates, was in Nigeria somewhere in March, and he said something very profound. He said, people cannot survive without roads and ports and all that. And roads and ports cannot be built if people are not skilled. So you need the skilled people to build the roads and ports. Like you are saying, if we can have enough to develop, who is developing? It is the skilled people. It's the same people who are reproducing, who would have to have the skill to develop. And one scientist said, for you to be skillful at whatever you do, you need 10 hours, 10,000 hours of hands-on, 10,000 hours. So if you have 10,000 hours of hands-on to be an excellent architect, and everybody has 24 hours in a day, you see, time is not limitless. You get it? We all have this time to nurture our children and to educate ourselves. And life is full of balance. Life is just a balance all the time. Your BMI, there's a normal range. Your blood pressure, there's a normal range. Your height, there's a normal range. Everything has a normals. So if we tend to go out, well, nature would take its course.
Give me the stats on the Nigeria-UK growth rate again.
You see, Nigeria for me is a country that all Africans should be worried about. Nigeria, annually, the net increase in Nigeria is 5 million people. That's the country of Norway.
Every year? Every
single year. They give birth 7 million and 2 million die. So their net increase in Nigeria is 5 million people every single year. What can you do? What can you do? For me, I think that is why they say Africa is rich, but then the poorest country. Because we don't have enough time to develop our skills. We're not investing in skill set. We're looking more at the numbers. So we keep growing, and like a baby, there is food, but the baby cannot feed. You know, because you need that skill to harness the resources that God has given you. So there should be a balance.
We are growing, what, 700,000 to 800,000?
700,000 to 800,000 per annum.
It's not manageable for us?
Well, the issue is, Nana, like I'm saying, look at the structure. Look at those who are working and those who we are supporting. That is the main thing. That's the thrust of everything. If, for instance, we compare ourselves to Singapore, let me give you some data from Singapore. Mm-hmm. Singapore in 1960 had a total fertility rate of 5.7. Every woman in Singapore was having 5.7 children. Ghana, we were 6.2, 6.7, thereabout. Okay? Fast forward 2018. Singapore is 1.1. And Ghana, well, 3.9, so around 4. The GDP per capita in Singapore in 1960 was about $400. Ghana was about $190. 2018, GDP per capita in Singapore is about 60,000. And Ghana is 1,500, 1,600. You know, because the issue is, it's a trade-off. It is really a trade-off. I mean, we can't have our cake and eat it, literally. Mm. You cannot have your cake and eat it. And the issue is that now the problem is a bit acute because of our success. Our success in medicine. You know, now the immunizations is not just 6, we have 13 vaccinations for the children, which is good. I don't remember the last time you saw any child with polio, which is excellent. You know, measles, rubella, and all those things, we're taking care of them. So mortality has come down. What I would say for me, reading the literature, is that...
So we are not dying?
We're not dying, which is perfect. But, like any mathematical equation, what you do to the left, you should do to the right. And that is what the Westerners got very fast. So when mortality started coming down, they reduced fertility. So mortality, fertility matched. If you look at that demographic transition, if you separate the demographic transition from the Westerners and then from Sub-Saharan Africa, you see that we are frustrating fertility. So we are having the momentum. So that is how we are becoming so many, you know. And it decreases life expectancy. Look at our hospitals. Meanwhile, you go outside, and the hospitals are like hotels, you know. There are few people, but our hospitals are like marketplaces because we are not investing qualitatively in the human resource. So it is not the numbers, but it is the structure, which is very, very important. Globally, the median age is 30 years. When we line all of us in the world up, the median age is 30 years. When you line all Nigerians up, their median is about 18, 19 years. When you line Ghanaians up, we are about 21 years. That's the median age, you know. And it comes with so many things. You know that, I mean, if you are youthful, if you are a young country, children play, children exploit so many things. So then if you don't occupy them, then crime and all that. You know, when they tell you that the crime rate is low in the Scandinavian countries, age has a way of slowing that down. The median age increases, crime comes down. As you grow, people become more responsible. So they do less risky things, you know. So the structure is what matters, not so much the numbers.
But then the big question then is, yes. I mean, everybody's in their house, you know, doing their own business. You know, how do you tell them that, well, don't reproduce? Or I mean, how do you plan it? Is it by policy, by strategy? How does this work?
Well, the countries that have that have made progress is policy. You see, the issue is that I think the problem we have here is an individual. I want to have my child, and I'm having. What's your problem? That's the same thing that we have in the flats. You know, I want to push my rubbish in the gutter. What's your problem? I want to put my rubbish on the mountains in the gutter. What's your problem? You know. And then when it rains, everybody, we all get a share of it. So there are things that are public goods that we all have to look at. The issue is that how do you nurture, how do you imbibe skill in somebody? It's education. You know, if you have your children, are you going to build the schools for them? It's public good. How do we get the public good? We get the public good by taking care of our individual needs and putting some aside, savings. If you haven't finished feeding your family, there's no way you will save. And if we do not save, then we'll go and borrow from the Westerners. Where are they getting the monies from? It's their savings. You know, so then we'll go and borrow, and then our great-grandchildren would be on debt. Life is a balance. So would we rather have V8s and drive in flats, or have portable cars and drive on good roads? That's the choice we have to make. So if we all want to invest in V8s and then build beautiful houses and put barbed wires and electrocution to keep people out, instead of making sure that everybody is comfortable and we have good roads, at least everybody has something to eat, everybody has clothes on their backs, shelter. It's choices that we really have to make. But these are choices not helping us.
Well, so I want to find out how involved the National Population Council is in all our future projections, Ghana Beyond 8. So, I mean, where do you come in and how do we go beyond 8? Because the story looks grim.
Well, you see, the population, when you take the people out of the country, it's as how God made it. So the people are critical. Everything we do is about the people. Ghana Beyond 8 is the people who have to produce the Ghana Beyond 8. And how do we produce Ghana Beyond 8? We can produce Ghana Beyond 8 when we are independent. You know, when we become truly economically independent. How do we do that? When you can clothe yourself, feed yourself, build your own roads, drill your own oil. The people who are bringing the rigs to drill the oil and the gold and things for us, are they not human beings? You know, but it is skills that they have taken time. So we have 24 hours in the day, Nana. You can choose, and God gave us 70 years, even though we don't want it, so we have reduced hours. Globally, they want it, so they've taken it and they've increased it, but we have reduced hours to about 62 because of our lifestyle, you know. So we have 62 years for everybody to live, and within these 62 years, you have to do everything. It is just like going to the market. You have 1,000 Ghana cedis to the market. You have to apportion whatever. So this is what you have, and you want to have a good life, you want to have a good meal. Are you going to use all your money to buy a goat and nothing for cassava or tomatoes? You know, that is the choice that we have to make. Because we have this limited resources, this limited energy, this limited time within which to nurture the next generation. You know, take care of ourselves, take care of our parents, and then support with national development. So it's a balancing act.
And we don't seem to be balancing it. This conversation is it's not very often on the table. Why is that? Why are we not aware, or why are we not alarmed at this aspect of development in terms of balancing the population? It's very rare to see or hear leaders say, look, I'm unable to do this because, look, we are growing too much and we need to start thinking of slowing down. It's very rare that you hear it on big platforms.
Well, you're right, but you see, for me, it's sad, and because what we are doing is actually like a firefighting. You know, there's a bushfire, and we are chasing the fire with the water hose. You know, so we have so many children, so let's build the schools. We have so many children on the street. Let's build the schools. Let's build the hospitals. But we have to sit and look at our data. We have a lot of data that tells us a lot of things. Why are our girls having so many abortions? Why are we seeing so many children on the street? If you look at our data, 17% of the pregnancies are really unwanted. The actual fertility that our women are telling us is 3.6, and they've been telling us 3.6 since 2003, that they want fewer children. Meanwhile, our total fertility rate is 4.2. But when you interview the women, Ghana Statistical Service interviews the women, they said, we want less children. So for me, it doesn't baffle me that you get children being sold, because nobody would want a child and sell the child. So what we need to do is to glamorize family planning. That is what countries have done. That is what indeed Rwanda is doing now. Every single month, they have a platform where all the big people, the political leaders, stand and talk about the advantages of small family size. Rwanda is making strides because population management is one of its main focus in Rwanda. You cannot do otherwise. You cannot have 14% of your teenagers getting pregnant. Because the issue is, for me, teenagers getting pregnant, for me, is the worst public health emergency that we have. Because we are investing in these children, and every business that you do, you grow the business and reap dividends, that also. But we are investing in these young children. They have not gotten to the stage of bearing fruits for the nation, and then they give us burden. We invest with them when their mothers were pregnant with them antenatal. They go through vaccinations, which we pay for. They go through education, which we pay for. Then when they are supposed to progress and become productive, then they get pregnant, and they are now a burden, and their children are now a burden. If we don't see it as an issue, then it's very, very grave, because it's a big issue. Apart from the financial burden, the moral, the value clarification becomes an issue. What does an 18-year-old who is still under tutelage knows to teach a child? You get it? But look at the Western world. Their teenage pregnancy is less than 2%. It's about 1.6%. And we are 14%. It's not that the children are not promiscuous or anything, but they have access to reproductive health care, and then also they have access to other things. You see, teenage pregnancy does not come around just because children don't have access to reproductive health care. Other avenues. They have games they play. You know, parents take them to play football. They have theater. They have other extracurricular activities to engage them. But because of how we are very fast and we're going in a rat race, we don't know where we're going to, but we're all moving. So we don't take time to meet the needs, the other needs of all the segments of the population.
Let me take a quick break and find out that, is it anything cultural? Is it religious? What is it that is firing up this population? Don't go. Well, thank you very much for staying, and we are looking at population growth, and we've been told that it links directly to poverty. If your population is overgrowing, you definitely end up poor. And so we are sort of destined to be poor. We need to regulate it. But I just want to find out, is it cultural beliefs? Is it religious? That, look, go and reproduce. You know, don't use family planning. What's causing this?
Nana, you see, the culture, of course, you know, in those days, we had to have 10 children, because you can have a woman with 10 children and be left with one, or even 10 children and none. And when you talk to our mothers, they will tell you that, I mean, you have to give birth so that in your old age, the children will look after you, which is a good thing, you know. So which means that if you look at it critically, we all want a good life. We all want a good life. Like a drowning man. A drowning man will struggle not because he wants to die, but he doesn't know that when you struggle, you drown faster. When you are still, you can float, and then somebody can come and save you. So the issue is that the one who is struggling to float and the one who is still, both have one mission. They both want to survive. But the drowning man, his method of surviving will rather sinking. That is the issue. Culturally, we all want a good life. We all want security. But we forget that in this day and age where mortality is reduced, high fertility would give you what you don't want. When mortality was high, you can have 1 or 2 children surviving. But now, if you use that same formula and have 10, all 10 will survive, and you can't take care of all 10, so you will have 10 poor children. Yes. So what we need to do is to have that conversation about what do you want, and they will tell you that we want a good life. And we who have gone to school tell them that, yes, in the 1960s, when the germ theory was not there, when immunization was not there, when water was not clean, the children were dying. But today, with immunization, with health care, with water, with better rules, the children are not dying. So you'll be better concentrating your effort in 2 children who would live. After all, God says we should trust him. And if we do trust him, then he will take care of our children. So you concentrate on the 2 who would live, and they will grow and take care of you better than 10 children. Most likely none will get better. Look at it in our villages. When there's a death in the family, the 10 children will be there. And then the one person who managed to come out of that will wait for that person to come before everything happens. So is it not better to concentrate your efforts and put that person in the hands of God to protect, and then you also do your part so that the person survives? The Westerners have two children. Maternal mortality is very low. Child mortality is very low. They all survive. We all saw the royal wedding. The grandmother is there. The mother is there. Everybody is there to the grandchild. That is the beauty of it, you know. So that is what we really need to. That's the conversation we have to have. When you're talking about religious beliefs, that God says we should multiply, but we never complete that sentence. He said we should multiply and subdue the earth. You cannot subdue something if you don't have skill. The last Olympics, the Winter Olympics, they manufactured the snow. That is subduing. They actually manufactured the snow because the natural snow was not enough for them to skate. So they manufactured snow. That is subduing the earth. So you cannot subdue the earth without skill. The earth will subdue you. That is, if you look at the migrants, all those who are migrating and dying, unfortunately, in the Mediterranean Sea, check the sources of their countries. Most of them are coming from countries with very high fertilities. You don't see the Europeans going through the Mediterranean and dying because high fertility keeps you poor. High fertility would even make your education useless because you need that contact, you need that small number, and you need the teacher contact for you to be very skillful. And it runs in sports, so we go and run, we can't get anywhere because we have not trained ourselves from the beginning. We started with poor nutrition, and it follows. And God says that what we sow, we reap. So if you sow malnutrition, of course, you will not qualify to run even before you be last. It
just has a serious rippling effect.
It
seems to affect everything.
It fixes everything.
But it must have an advantage somewhere. I don't know, maybe bigger army, I don't know.
Well, those days when the armies were going in cutlasses and facing each other. But now the armies don't face each other. Now it's just technology. You can get 110-a-year-old. You remember when Trump and the North Korean were saying they had buttons on their tables?
Cheap labor. We can get cheap labor.
The issue is that the paradox is that in the next 20, 30 years, robots are taking over the work of migrants. That is what they are doing. Because it's cheaper. When you hear CNN talk about migration, it's their population policy. Population has just 3 determinants. It's fertility, mortality, and migration.
Let me put the number out, and then you at home watching, I want to hear your view. If you think we should slow it down, or if you think the numbers are okay, I really want to get a taste of what you think. It's 0302 211 69 0302 211 691 or 692 0302 691 and 692. Give us a call. Let me see what you think. This is a really big conversation that I can't just have it alone. So give us a call. Let me find out what you think. But I'm thinking, 29 million. It's for now until the robots come in. Maybe we can use it for. I don't know. We can use. I don't know what for something.
Yes, it's true. We can use for something. That is true. The 29 million. It's just like me telling you, oh, somebody weighs 80 kilos. Is it good? It's not bad. After all, 80 kilos is good. Is it good? Is 80 kilos good or bad?
The question is for what?
For what? And who? And who is carrying the 80 kilos? You know, if an adult is 80 kilos, it's okay. If a 10-year-old is 80 kilos, it's not okay. If a 1-year-old is 80 kilos, it's definitely not okay. So it is not the 29 million. It is not the 29 million that's the problem. It's the number of people carrying. It is the dependent. Can you imagine a country, 29 million children below 10, and they have gold, they have uranium, they have bauxite, they have everything. Don't you think they will starve and die? But they are 29 million. Yeah. You know, but they are human beings. So it is not the numbers. But then if you have another country where you have maybe 2 million children, and then you have 29 million adults.
Let me go to and I have Bismarck. Hello, Bismarck.
Hello, sir. Good evening.
Bismarck, let me hear you quickly on this issue. What's your take on it?
Well, the issue is our leaders should be brave and take a bold decision.
Yes.
It's either we are bringing a policy to deal with our population.
Yes.
Like what the Chinese did, the one-child policy. So that we can have a situation where everyone will be aware, then we tackle it. As people have been giving birth thinking that's the norm, but it's not helping.
Thank you very much. Let me go to Festus. Hello, Festus.
Hello, Nana. Good evening to you.
Good evening, Festus. Let me hear your take on this issue.
Yeah, I'm calling from United States. First
good.
of all, I would like to commend Madame Leticia for the excellent manner in which she's presenting the issues on this subject. I think that is a clear example of the kind of human resource we need for this kind of problem. I think that from the... Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you clearly, yes.
Yes, I'm saying that my first point is that I would like to commend Madame Leticia.
Thank you.
On the excellent manner in which she's presenting, the ideas that she has on this subject. I'm very much impressed. But I also think that we need to have people who are very much focused on positive policy issues, because all that she's saying is very simple and straight. We have the human race of like she is, and we think that we need to insulate such persons from, active political influences, so that when they are assigned to their respective positions, they will give out unalloyed recommendations and policy directions to whatever we need to do to get the situation fixed.
Oh, okay, first, thank you very much. Let me go to Napoleon in Atebu. Hello, Napoleon.
Yeah, hello.
Yes, good evening. Let me hear your take on this issue.
Nana, my take on this issue.
Yeah.
You see, most of us in the country, we are hypocrites. We are hypocrites because we don't want to tell ourselves the truth. The leaders are there, they know the laws, but the implementation is poor. We, the junior ones, the citizenry, we know the laws and we don't want to follow them. So there is no way we can get to that threshold of having one child to one family. And you see, it affects our daily life. So when someone is having about 13 children, and there's no way you can take care of them. You go to the street, people are sleeping in front of stores, and we have leaders who we voted for. And they can't even tell us what to do, because it is true. You either use a small car, drive on a better road, or use the being and drive on a bad road. And that's the truth. So I believe when we decide to change our attitude towards life, then I will be a better person.
Let me go to Joe. Thank you so much. Joe from Diaya Nkwanta. Hello, Joe.
Good evening.
Good evening. Let me hear your take on this issue, please.
Yeah, first I want to congratulate Madam for the way he's handling the whole thing. But you see, I think our leaders must take the thing very serious. Because looking at how things are happening, like you said, our problem is all because of our population. Like, if you have small children, if you have, let's say, 5 children, and you are receiving, let's say, 1,000 cedis a month, taking care of 5 children, and somebody taking care of 2 children, receiving the same amount, automatically the one receiving through taking care of two children, we'll be able to progress in life. So we are pleading with our leaders. They should talk about this issue for people to know that our problem is all about our population growth.
Thank you very much. Let me go to Asin Manso and talk to Paul. Hello, Paul. Hello. Did I drop the call, Paul? Have I got Paul? Oh, we lost Paul. Okay. So it's 0302211691. I must say, for the first time we discussed population issue, and I'm getting sentiments of people who agree that, look, we are exploding. Most of the time when I discuss, maybe because you've explained it better, but people don't seem to side with me that, no. Leave the population alone. There's no issue. Let me go to Cape Coast. Kobe. Hello, Kobe. Kobe. Do I have Kobe?
Yeah.
Good. Kobe, let me hear your take on the issue.
Yes. My take is about a fine balance between what doctor is saying and the fact that over the years, people who have gone this line are now actually campaigning. Hello?
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah.
Can I yes. Thank you.
Come on, man.
Okay, Kobe, I think you were not listening, so your line sort of got cut off. Nicholas from Bolga. Hello, Nicholas.
Yeah, hello. Nana, thank you this evening. I think that the doctor is doing very well to the topic, and it is important that the issues he's raising serious issues, and the policymakers, the politicians, should find a way of, tapping from her and getting her to, bring some of these experiences into our development agenda. I have personally, over the years, I'm a development worker, and I can, I can see with her where she's coming from, and I think that as a nation, we are getting a lot of issues wrong. Our population growth is too much, and there's a need for us to do something about it. Even our economic development model. Sometimes we don't know where we are. We don't know whether we're doing export-led development, we're doing domestication. I mean, it's not very clear. There are so many things that government need to clarify and be straightforward so that we, the citizens, can buy in and contribute to the development of the country. Like you said, it's we, the people, who develop the country. If we don't know what policy direction the government is pursuing, there's no way we can contribute to that development effort. And that has been our problems over the years. Thank you.
Thank you so much for calling in. Look. Okay, I think I have one more call. Hello, Martin. Martin. Okay, Martin was going to be my last caller. So what I get a sense is political will. Do we have that political will to say, look, folks, we need to slow down population growth and all other things will follow, as you were saying?
Yes, you see, the issue is that population management, which family planning is a very key component of, in my mind, family planning and immunization is like day and night.
It should go hand in hand?
It should go hand in hand. Family planning and immunization should go hand in hand. Where family planning is, immunization.
So you can't leave family planning, reproduce, and then immunize them?
Yes, because the issue is that you immunize them, you leave family planning out. Within 3 months, the woman gets pregnant again, comes with another baby. Even this one you have immunized, the development gets compromised because now the attention is divided. This one will not get the best of care. These two will not get the best of care because the woman needs to come back to the normal state, just like the farmers. When they plant, they wait for the land to fallow, they till before they plant another one. In fact, we are like plants. After all, when we die, we go there. We become mango trees, So it is similar. So just like how the farmers would leave spacing, they plant one here, plant another. That is how family planning is. That is how the human being also is. You have one child, you space the birth then another. Then both survive well. Then the mother is also healthy.
So once we are providing free immunization, there must be policies to provide free
family planning.
Family planning.
Yes. If you look at the Western world, you look at the immunization and family planning, they are very close. But in Ghana, are fully immunized, that is, everybody fully immunized, is 77%. And our family planning uptake is about 25%. Look at the gap. But everywhere you look at the data, and it's not too far off. It's not too far off. You will get family planning uptake, say 80%, immunization 90%. So it's close. So they have actually closed the gap. And that is what we need to do, because immunization keeps children alive. So then family planning, like the equation...
slow people coming in.
Slow people coming in. Then you can have quality of life. Then you can have time to take care of that child. You even the breast milk production. And then you also, because I don't believe that after giving birth, the woman should also just be useful for reproduction. No. You also have a role to play in producing public good for the nation. So policy... But we need, you see, family planning is a political and a government intervention. It's not for NGOs. It's not for me sitting here. It needs the big platform. And that is what Iran did it, Tunisia did it, Algeria did it. I'm mentioning it because these are Muslim countries, and we thought that they wouldn't.
Yeah, they wouldn't.
Yes. And Iran went ahead and has implemented one of the best family planning programs the world has ever known. It was done in Iran.
As in a Muslim country?
Yes, as a Muslim country. As a Muslim country. Yes.
Wow.
So, policy, political will, and prioritization. And you see, Nana, the beauty of it is easier for a woman who is having the 10th child to die than it is for a woman having the 2nd or 3rd child. So maternal mortality instantly reduces. And if maternal, can you imagine you're going to have your 10th child and you die, so now you have left 9 orphans to be taken care of. And you have 2, 3, you would surely survive, and 3 children have their parents. So life is a choice, and it's a balance. You make the choice, or nature makes it for you.
So at the moment, I mean, just 2 minutes to round up, or a minute to round up, most of all our big plans, elimination of poverty, cleaner city in Africa, Ghana beyond aid, and all these big dreams we are having would only become a dream. You can't actualize it because we are producing more than we're dreaming.
The BEC this year, this year, if you look at I love statistics, so I look at figures a lot. There were over 500,000 children for BEC, and it was about 9% more than the previous year. And it is always like that. It is always like that. The preceding year is always more than. So what we dealt with this last year, about 490,000. This year, it was 500 and something thousand, up by 8.9%.
Wow.
So if we couldn't take care of 490,000, how are we going to take care of 500,000?
The big question to end the conversation. My guest today was Dr. Letitia Adelaide-Appiah, Executive Director, National Population Council, and he's saying that it's a conversation we should have. The population is outgrowing the development of the nation. Thank you very much for watching. We'll be back to do this all over again. Thank you. Doc, thank you so much.
Thanks.